listening to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. Before we get started, we want to remind you to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Range Minded Podcast. And if you could, leave us a rating and some feedback on wherever you listen to podcasts, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. This is episode number 60, where we revisit with our friend Nick Hoffer of Hoftac Industries and of the Ultimate Hybrid Holster. We check in with him to see what he's been up to, how the holster business has been, what's new in the works for Nick and the Ultimate Hybrid Holster, and we get to see the process of making a custom holster for Steve's Glockster right before our eyes. Thanks as always for listening, and we hope you enjoy episode 60 of Range Minded, the custom holster with Nick Hoffer. Hello and welcome to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting.
No, not today.
Well, it's from Independence Indoor Shooting, but we're not at Independence Indoor Shooting. My name is Mark Long, and I am joined in person by
the one and only Steve Zimmerman.
And we have a special guest with us as well.
Nick Hoffer.
That's right.
Yeah, we have our returning guest, Nick Hoffer. He was on with us last fall, I think, right? Sometime around there?
January, February, I think.
Yeah, it was a little while ago.
Yeah, a little bit ago.
Yeah, but now you're here, you're back. When we were actually live from the global headquarters of Hoftac Industries and Ultimate Hybrid Holsters, right?
That's right. We're actually sitting in the Ultimate Hybrid office, and then next door is the Hoftac Industries
This
shop.
is where all the magic happens.
This is where the holster magic happens.
Yeah, this right here where you're sitting is where about 150 phone calls a day happen.
But you said you had a real tough day today. You golfed.
Yeah, I played golf with Caracal USA, so it was a tough day.
And if you guys haven't seen Caracal handguns, and rifles, I mean, they make ARs too, but you guys need to jump over there and check them out. That's pretty interesting firearms.
Yeah, we interviewed one of the guys from Caracal.
I guess that's right.
On the Expo episode when we were live.
Yeah.
We'll have to get him back and talk a little bit more and
cool
have a more in-depth episode about that, because they're kind of they've been around, but they haven't really entered the civilian market, I think is what he was saying, right? All that much?
Well, even the American market.
The really. American market, that's what it is.
So you said world headquarters. They literally are worldwide, and their headquarters for the U.S. is in Boise. It's impressive.
That is sweet.
I need to go check out that place. I love going to other people's businesses.
We've talked about that before, where we're kind of blessed in the Valley to have all kinds of firearms and accessories and all kinds of Second Amendment manufacturers here, like Hoftac and Ultimate Hybrid, but also Odin Works and who else, Steve? Seekins.
2A, Mantu's in Idaho Falls, but the state of Idaho is incredibly gun friendly, and I would love it even if the state offered incentives to bring more companies in.
That would be very cool. So, but we are here at the global headquarters for Hoftac and Ultimate Hybrid Holsters because we're going to learn about making our own holsters. If you listen to the first podcast we had with Nick, you heard about kind of how he got started in the industry. If not, making holsters and everything. If not, Nick, why don't you kind of share with us how you got started with that?
In the first episode, I talked about how I started in my garage. I worked for a gun manufacturer and kind of got my hands wet with holster making in my garage and used some of my resources from the firearms industry to make that happen. But 4 years in my garage and going on 3 years in this building here. So that's 7, right? 4
that's
3.
4 and 3. Yeah. It's Friday night. Nobody wants to math.
Yeah. When we first got here, Nick's like, it's Saturday, right? Right. No, dude, it's Friday.
Sure.
Well, it's Friday night on a holiday weekend, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We're recording this Memorial Day weekend, so it's just a whole litany of special going on.
Special indeed.
And Steve's here in person.
And if you just heard a camera go off, Nick is like the 14-year-old holster guy. It's cool.
He's up on the social media, that's for sure.
And honestly, you heard why. Like in the last episode, you understand that. That really helped him a lot along the way.
Yeah, that's where really a lot of your sales came from starting, right?
Yeah,
when you started out.
So when I started out, it was all Facebook, and then Facebook, Instagram. I had a website through Big Cartel. I probably did $50 in the first 2 years on that website. I'm just actually recently learning how to use my website to its full potential. So if you're on our mailing list, you've probably gotten 2 big emails from us in the last 2 weeks. So I think I gave away like $5,000 worth of gift certificates.
Dang it, I should have been on the mailing list.
Should have been on the mailing list. We both failed on that one. So, well, and let's talk about that a little bit. You do have 2 separate companies.
Correct.
You know, there's Hoftac Industries, and then there's the Ultimate Hybrid Holster, which is the newer of the 2, correct?
Yeah, so Ultimate Hybrid is the universal inside and outside the waistband holster that I designed with my business partner, and that's our retail brand. And then Hoftac got more into manufacturing, but I'm actually bringing back the retail side of that as well.
Oh, really?
The retail
Awesome.
and custom side. So if you live in Idaho, the custom side is going to really start taking off in the next month.
That is fantastic.
That's great news.
And why do you want to be so busy that you don't have time to sleep?
Because I love my customers so much.
That's awesome.
I mean, my son is sitting in here in the office. Like, he likes to come down here and work.
Yeah, he's hanging out, and we've got the dog too. So we've got a full party here, actually.
Actually, right now you're sitting in our office. We're going to go into the shop, and about 50 yards away from that is where our apartment is. So we don't get too far from work very often.
That could be good and bad, right? Like, you can't escape work.
Well, the cool thing is I started in my garage, so I used to work till like 3 in the morning. So once my son goes to bed, I can just run downstairs again and work in the shop for a couple hours.
Yeah, that's pretty convenient.
Do you ever sleep?
I take a lot of sleeping pills so that I can sleep.
When you have the 20, 30 minutes to do so?
I have to force myself to do. If I'm not working in here, I'm sitting at my computer figuring out the posts for the next week on Instagram or the email that's going out. And right now I'm building this new website. So yeah, it's not a lot of sleep.
Sometimes I envy people like that because I'm just always tired. When I was young, like, you're pretty young still. When I was, in my 20s, I could work 20-hour days and not feel it.
Well,
7 days a week.
I'm not that young.
You're not that old either.
Nobody's as old as Steve.
Yeah, Sonny.
As seasoned.
Get off my lawn.
But tell us a little more about the custom part of it, because that's kind of one of the things we're doing here tonight is we're going to kind of learn how to make our own holsters, because you talked about that in the first episode. Obviously, there's a lot of craftsmanship and research and technique that goes into doing that. But if, it sounds like with the custom part, you're going to be able to offer holsters to people who don't want to try their hand at making their own, or maybe they have a certain need for a holster, right?
So the custom side is really where I got started. So making holsters for guns that there's not holsters at the store for. So I've never expanded my production line of holsters past the mainstream guns like the Glocks, the Smith, like no lights, no lasers, none of that. It's always been pushed into the custom realm.
Sure.
So what I like to do is we have stuff in stores, but when people are looking for like a Glock with a TLR1 and a threaded barrel and suppressor sights, there's not a whole lot. There is now, but there wasn't back then, stuff on the shelf. Yeah. And so really what I do is push people to get a custom holster for what they have instead of trying to just make their gun work for what holster they can find. So like you guys brought a couple guns on, so you'll get to see how it happens. Basically, if you have gun A with light C, we can bring it into the shop, we can set it up, and we can create a custom holster for you, be it inside the waistband, outside the waistband. Being in Idaho, I do a lot of stuff for hunters and backpackers, so we mount stuff to their packs, and we match colors, stuff like that.
So it's not just maybe for concealed carry, it's for all different kinds of applications?
On the custom side, concealed carry is a big part of it, but a lot of stuff on the custom side is competition shooters, hunters, outdoorsmen, and range guns or holsters that will go in your car or that will mount to bed frames, inside safes. That's really where the custom side
And I'm guessing not just guns. You probably make sheaths for knives and...
Knife sheaths were a really big part of my business when I first started doing custom stuff. I don't do a whole lot anymore. I have 2 knives sitting over there right now, but yeah, we do knife sheaths. We do light carriers. I did a lot of cell phone carriers for a while. Like On the custom side, we charge by the hour, so whatever someone
Anything
wants you
goes
to
in
do.
some cases, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing about Kydex is it's not just for guns. You can really use it to form it around anything, right?
Well, yeah, it was originally designed for like tray backs on airplanes and the windows and the walls. So if you can vacuum form it or form it around something, you can make a carrier, a holder, a case, whatever you want.
And it really is an interesting plastic because it stretches and forms to a lot of different shapes and even pretty fine detail in some cases.
Well, yeah, and you'll see when we go over there and we set up one of your guns that it will get in so much detail that you won't be able to use it as a holster if you don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what the snag, like we talked about in the last podcast, the snag points, the pinch points, the openings that need to be there, if you don't set it up correctly, then you won't be able to get the gun out. I've had a couple of people order some holsters on eBay and bring them in and be like, I can get the gun in, but I can't pull it back out. I'm like, well, that's because they formed it around that light and they didn't leave a gap for the light to come back out.
Now it's stuck forever.
So
yeah, there's some technique involved in there. So, and I'll tell you what, we did bring some, not custom. Well, Steve has a custom gun.
My Glockster.
Yeah, but I brought my P38, and I'm a lefty, if you remember. So I'm all kinds of backwards.
And if you remember, lefties don't get holsters for a while, so I guess you're out of luck, man.
Right, so I'll go second.
That's only on the Ultimate Hybrid side. All of the
I had him going for a minute, and you just
hey, all of the Hoftac inside the waistband Defender holsters are ambidextrous. So
There you go.
and that's what I'm rocking right now. So,
Are you?
And appendix is the official carry position of the Range Minded podcast.
It sure is. But yeah, you can do inside the waistband, outside the waistband. You can do anything pretty much with the custom Kydex. So, but let's talk about Ultimate Hybrid for a little bit. Let's switch over to that. What inspired you? And we talked about it a little bit on the last one, but we'll fill folks in if they didn't catch that one. What kind of inspired you to make the Ultimate Hybrid holster? Where did that kind of come from?
actually, the Ultimate Hybrid holster was kind of something that my business partner, who at the time had brought up doing. He worked for another holster company that did soft goods.
And can we use his name? Is he cool with that?
Terry?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we can use Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we interviewed Terry, didn't we?
I guess we did, yeah.
We interviewed him at the
and
expo.
Terry's been around in the industry quite a while. Like, he's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's like 15 to 16 years in the gun industry.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of personal protection training, and he does all of our firearms training for both companies. So yeah, he was an instructor for Front Sight, bunch of stuff like that. So
yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, so you guys kind of got together and got that, and he had the idea for Ultimate Hybrid, and you guys kind of...
So we were working on a partnership between the company he worked for and Hoftac, where they were going to build a backer for me because they used a unique material, and I was going to build holster shells for those, and we were going to sell them under both names. But what happened was, when I looked at it, I had done some work for a company in the past here in Idaho that had what was called a pistol sheath, which was a universal holster, but it was Kydex on both sides. And so I had made molds for it, and I had made a bunch of them, but it was kind of janky. Like like if you remember the early days of Kydex holster making and seeing that stuff, it was like you could look at it and it kind of looked like a holster, but it kind of looked like a turd too. But so I was like, I could probably make this fit multiple guns and fit their business model better than doing a gun-specific holster. So we did it with them. I filed the paperwork on it on my end when I designed the shell.
Smart.
And then we sold it through them, and we sold probably 10,000 through them before Terry left and came to work with me.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, and now we've done, this style of holster, that the same type of design, there's probably, I would say, close to 70,000 of them on the market.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Well, and it fits, over 100 different models of gun?
So the new one that we designed, so the Ultimate Hybrid design, fits roughly 225 handguns.
Wow.
And that's just the ones that I've been able to get my hands on, and there's actually an entire comprehensive list of that broken down on the Ultimate Hybrid website.
Okay. What's the website again?
So it's ultimatehybridtech.com. textin.com.
Gotcha. And do you make different sizes of the holster for like subcompacts and full size, or is it all kind of?
So currently we have one size, and it comes in inside or outside the waistband, and it comes in 2 outside the waistband belt attachment models and 3 inside the waistband belt attachment models. So those can either be found on Hoftac.com or the Ultimate Hybrid website.
So tell me a little bit about what kind of the benefit is of having a holster that fits all these different guns, because, you know, I think probably when somebody thinks of like a universal holster, they think of like a nylon holster that's just basically like a pocket that you see some people rock at the range sometimes. This could not be farther from that. This is way, way better.
Right. So the Ultimate Hybrid is basically, it starts with what we call our memory core backer. So the base of the holster is a memory foam on what is called a spacer mesh, and it's laminated together. And what that does is that backer, it has spacer mesh against your body, which is it's a 3D mesh that is soft against your body, but allows airflow to go around, so you don't sweat as much, and it doesn't pool sweat or anything. It lets the air flow through it, and it keeps it. It's kind of it's like if you ever wore a knee brace, it's like a vented knee brace type material.
Yeah.
And then the memory foam, what that does is it actually conforms to the shape of whatever gun you put in there. So the back side of the gun, which is going to be the side that most of the controls are on, because most guns were designed around right-handed shooters.
Yeah, sure they were.
And so what happens is the back side of that gun is pushed into the memory foam, and it takes the shape of that. It's like kind of laying your head on like a memory foam pillow. It forms to the shape of your face. And then with the hard front shell, which we designed to have kind of a universal shape, but we also curved it. So it actually pushes the backer into the gun and it curves around your body at the same time. So it takes the shape of whatever one of those 225 guns you put in there. So you can pull one out, it goes back to 0, you can put the next one in, it takes the shape of that and pushes it into that hard shell, which not only does that hard shell benefit in clipping the gun into the shell, but it holds an opening so you can reholster the gun as well. So if you had a typical nylon holster, once you took the gun out, it would collapse.
Yeah, and you can't reholster that one.
And as an instructor, I hate seeing we call it a gun bucket. I hate seeing that nylon holster coming into a class
with just a crappy clip on it,
and it's barely hanging on. And,
it's all floppy and stuff. Yeah, it's real bad.
So what we tried to do was I tried to take all of the things that were popular in the Kydex holster world and bring those into the universal holster world. So there's not a lot of hybrids out there, hybrid holsters and what that means is a Kydex front shell and either a leather or synthetic backer that have the same clip options as what you see on a hard shell Kydex holster and some of the same design options. We use CNC cut tooling for the front shell, but we still hand make it. So we machine the molds that it comes off of, but we still, like I'll show you next door, we hand mold all of the stuff and cut it and drill the holes. So,
well, let's talk about the clip attachments too, for the most part, because with other like kind of hybrid holsters, like you said, like with a soft backing or maybe a leather backing or whatever, and then a Kydex shell, it really seems like you only get, it's either inside the waistband or it's outside the waistband. They're not, you can't really use it, one for both. And you only have a couple of clip options. So how'd you kind of make that holster to be both inside the waistband and outside the waistband with those clips?
So currently it's the Mark, we used the 2 model numbers. So the Mark II is inside the waistband with a clip on the face of it. The Mark IV is outside the waistband with clips on the edge. Currently, you can't use the same holster to do inside and outside the waistband, but it's the same shell. So and the difference being that where we have to attach it, you have to drill some different holes to get it to fit right.
Sure.
And so we don't want people switching them back and forth, because then the shells will have to come off. We're working on that down the road, but we have a combo that you get 2 holsters one inside and one outside the waistband.
Nice, very cool.
It covers such a broad range and it's priced pretty well to where if you have 2 different holsters, you can cover every type of carry.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So that's the other thing too, is that sometimes when you order a holster, let's say for a Glock 19 or something like that, people charge a lot of money for that. And I mean, obviously, if you cover a lot of different models, like kind of custom wise, that's you're going to have to find a model for each of those. But I think with a universal, you're able to offer it more affordably, I think, than most others, right?
So our combo kit, which comes with 2 holsters, is about what you would pay for one custom Glock holster.
Man.
And there's some other holsters out there that you can swap inside and outside the waistband, but you have a lot of tools. You have a lot of stuff that you have to swap over. You get a box that comes with like 75 parts. And by the time you go to switch it back, you've lost part of the parts, or you don't have the right Allen wrench. That's why when we talked about it, it would be cool to put an inside the waistband clip and the hardware and outside the waistband clips and the hardware in one box. But do I ship it set up one way, or do I ship it set up the other way? Do I want the customer to have to adjust? Because something we were really big on was when we designed it, we didn't want any adjustment screws. We didn't want you to have to change out the shell per gun.
Yeah.
And so by building a combo that came with 2 holsters instead of one holster that you could make into 2 different holsters, made it so that when you get the holster, you don't have to do any work. You put it on and you go.
You're ready to rock.
If I want to go to the range today, I put on the Mark IV. It's outside the waistband. I can put all my guns in it. If I want to draw from inside the waistband, I just grab that holster. I put all the guns in the same one. So instead of if I have 5 guns, I would have 10 holsters for those 5 guns. Now I have 5 guns. I have 2 holsters for all 5 guns.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was super disappointed when that big name came out with their new awesome everything holster, and they sent us a demo to the store, and I opened it up, and this is stupid.
Well, I bought those. So I went out when we were working on this. I went out and bought every universal or multi-use holster that was on the market. I went into Cabela's. I spent like $1,000, and they're actually sitting right over there on the desk.
I can see the one that I really despise right there.
So, is that all of them over there with some of the blue guns in there?
And so what I had to do was I had to do a bunch of work to get them to work,
and you need a degree in engineering to get it.
There's this huge instruction book. There's 50 parts in that one big box, and I have to figure out what configuration I want to put in. Which once I put it in one configuration, I never want to switch it because it took me 15, 20 minutes.
And I remember there's these stupid little parts that you have to little things this is
that you're going to lose or you're going to forget about, and you're not going to want to store anywhere. So it's not easy and convenient.
And then the other one that I bought, you had to attach something to the rail portion of the gun. Mm-hmm. So if the gun didn't have a rail a rail for attaching lights to, you couldn't use it.
You were stuck.
Really?
And if you wanted to put it on a different gun, you had to take the tool and take the piece off, the mounting piece, and put it onto the next gun. So those 3 things that we talked about, the assembly and then having an external piece you had to attach to the gun, really limited you. Yeah. So with ours, we didn't even want you to have an adjustment screw for the tension. The tension it's designed so that the tension from the body pressure and the size of the gun is self-adjusting.
And you accomplished it.
Yeah, and that was through designing different thickness of backers, using different weight memory foam, trying different thickness of memory foam. I went to the manufacturer of the foam and the guys who laminate it, because it's a special process for laminating the materials. And I went in Washington where we have it made, and I spent an entire day putting shells on different foam and trying it out, testing different weights, learning all about the foam and the different designs until we finally came up with one that has accomplished what we wanted.
And you did it, man. You hit it.
Yeah. So. For the inside the waistband too, can you take that and carry it in whatever position really you want? Did you?
Yeah. So the only thing that you can't really do with it is cross draw, because we only have right-handed models. So anywhere from say 12 o'clock being the front of your body, all the way around to say 5 o'clock on your hip, to where you get to where your shoulder's not hyperextended, you can carry it at any position.
Well, and that's convenient though too, because sometimes people will want to appendix carry, or they'll carry it, 4:30 or 5 o'clock or whatever, depending on maybe what they're wearing or anything. And it sounds like what you can do is you can use that for,
And that's why we
around.
came out with the different clip options, because I know when I carry appendix, I want a narrower clip that can fit in between the front belt loop and my belt buckle.
Yeah, so it doesn't fly out of
and
there.
I don't need any cant, so I use the which is the Mark II with the narrow clip that's a little angled out to push the gun back into my body, where our Mark V holster has a 1-inch wide belt clip that the cant can adjust 10 degrees from 0 and negative 10 degrees from 0. So when you're carrying behind the hip, you could tilt it forward
just a little bit
and adjust it.
get a little cant, yeah.
And then we came up with an ulti-clip option, if you guys have seen the ulti-clip, so you can carry behind the belt. So say you're wearing dress clothes, you could put it behind your belt so you don't have to see anything sticking out when you tuck your shirt in.
Right.
I might have to pick up one of those because I tend to dress up nicely once in a while.
And-
You are very dapper.
And those things you could take the clip off and switch it. But again, our idea of we don't want you to have to do any work once you get the holster. If you pick which way you want to carry ahead of time, or how you already carry, you could pick whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
But if you bought one of those 3, you could buy the extra clip and swap it out if you wanted to, but I don't want you to have to do that.
Sure.
Makes sense.
I dig it.
Well, I think let's go make our own holsters.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it. We've talked about kind of how that's done a little bit in the first episode, but
You might get a little video on the Facebook page and the Insta page. So
yeah, we'll try to take some photos and videos in here too. So
nothing of any secret process. We don't want to give up any secret stuff.
I think that we've put away all the secret stuff. All the left-handed ultimate hybrids have been discarded.
Well, it's because they never sold.
Oh man! Well, if you have one that's not being used and it's going to be thrown away, I'll just grab it out of the dumpster instead.
Here's the problem. Like I highly doubt you ever thought I'm going to sell a left-handed holster to somebody that carries a Walter.
Yeah, I'm really being the unicorn here. So,
Yeah.
but that's the fun of it, and that's why I think somebody would try to make their own holster, because they've got either a disability like me being left-handed, or they've got a wonky, weird gun that they want to carry or something like that.
I think the only reason you'd make your own holster is because you can't make it to my shop.
Very true.
That could be.
But I'm here, and we're here, so.
And I'm about to get my FFL, so we're
no.
going to expand nationwide for custom work.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Very cool. All right, well, let's take a break here, and we'll go jump over into the next door into the shop and get on it. So we'll be back. We're back, plus one holster,
Yeah.
custom made by Nick Hoffer. Man, that was pretty impressive to see.
Yeah, it didn't take you,
About an hour, I would say, maybe a little less.
Yeah, like I was telling you guys, it would have taken me about 45 minutes start to finish, but I was trying to give you an insight of what I was doing.
Yeah, well, now Steve has a custom holster, and and I don't have a custom holster yet. But I want you to
Not
repeat.
just 'cause you're left-handed.
I want Nick to repeat what he said when he saw the P38. Do you remember what you said?
Are you? I don't remember.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, that sounds like
What are
something
you
I would
talking
say.
about? You know how long that's going to take me to work on? That's going to take me like 4 hours. I'm like, oh, I felt really bad.
And if you guys don't know what the P38 looks like,
We'll have a
just
picture of it up
Google
on.
it or whatever, yeah, and then you'll see it.
Yeah, I didn't exactly know what it was before you pulled it out. So,
That's what she said. No, sorry.
You're on a roll today.
so when you guys see the picture of this gun, just know that for me to make a holster for that, I have to completely disassemble and build parts for the gun to make a holster.
I don't know why you couldn't have done that in the last 30 minutes.
I probably could have if I wasn't trying to talk to you guys.
Yeah, no, you walked us through the whole thing. It's craftsmanship for sure, man. Like, I know it's one thing to know that like there's craftsmanship that goes into it, but to see it made by hand. And
Well, and you
see the
definitely can
finish.
tell that he's done more than 5 holsters.
Yeah, 5 or 6, I bet. Yeah, but I mean, from the heating up the plastic, and even before that, just prepping the gun. It seems like a lot of it's in the prep work.
So 90% of the work is in the prep, like the cutting the shape and all of that. Like I've done that so many times. Like I told you, I used to draw it out on the plastic and cut on the lines. I can do it all by memory, but setting up the gun itself, you can't speed that up or cut corners and that.
Yeah, because like you said, you've got spacers and you've got blocking surfaces that have to be taped in place so that way the gun can both go in and come out.
Yeah, it's important that it can come out.
Yeah, that's the most important part.
Yeah, because putting it away wouldn't be a problem.
No, not at all.
You could carry around a case if you just wanted to put it away.
But yeah, there's a lot of and there's a lot of parts of it you have to think of, even on something as aesthetically simple as a Glock. I mean, you have your basic controls, but like you said,
what are you trying to say?
It's just there's not as many hills and ridges and valleys as there is maybe on a P38, for example.
It's perfect.
I didn't say it wasn't perfection, but but you have to think about the ejection port and when there's a chamber in there, or when there's a round in the chamber, and the ejection port is going to be protruding a little bit, or like you said, if maybe
I think what he's trying to say is that when there's a round in the chamber, the extractor is a loaded chamber indicator, and it protrudes past the slide so that you could feel.
Why didn't he just say that?
Yeah, I don't know. He was batting around I
was really trying, but I failed miserably. I was just in awe of the holster. So, but there's just a lot of work that goes into it, man. It's impressive.
It's not a hard process, but it's not a simple process either.
Sure, there's a lot of steps to it, and a lot of patience, it seems like, too. Having that, not only even when you have it heated up and then you have it pressed together, and then it cools down, really, the prep work after that, the finishing of it, sanding it down, making sure that everything's smooth. I mean, and it's ready to use right there once it's done.
Yeah, once we stuck the Glockster in there, it just like click. It was good.
Yeah. It's very impressive, so very well done.
I always tell people you could do it yourself, or you could save yourself 2 weeks and have me do it.
Yeah, I would not.
That really is the case, too.
And I have to admit, like you said, I thought it was going to be even a little bit simpler for some reason. I don't know why. I just thought it was, okay, you heat the plastic up, put it together, and then that's that. But there's a lot more to consider.
Yeah, it's a Kydex sandwich.
Yeah, literally, and the gun is the meat and the cheese.
Yeah.
But yeah, we took some video of it. We'll put up on Facebook at the Range Minded Podcast Facebook page.
The dog just wants to talk.
Tyson wants to be on the podcast as well.
He wants to be on the podcast.
Look, I'm watching him. He's looking at you like, what the hell did I just do?
Well, it's funny because you said his name now, so anybody who's listening to that follows us on Instagram or has been here will know exactly who you're talking about, because he greets everybody, and he's in about 80% of our videos.
And he's not a small dog.
He's 115 pounds.
You think, man, that dog could really hate me if he wanted to, but he's nice, cool.
He's really friendly.
So you guys pulled up to the shop, and you were out in where the front offices are, and I told you to come around to the back where our shop is.
Yeah.
And on the gate is a sign that says "Beware of dog." And so the gate is closed during the daytime. And so when people come back here, I'm like, yeah, just walk through the gate, it's unlocked. And I will get a phone call probably 8 out of 10 times. Is the dog going to bite me if they haven't been here before?
That's funny. But hey, I guess it's a good deterrent.
Yeah.
So, but we have, so first of all, thank you for letting us come through the shop and check it out, and making a holster for Steve.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having us come in and hanging out and watching you do this stuff.
And I'm going to dedicate an entire day.
Oh, man.
To working on your gun.
I have a feeling it's going to be more than that. There'll be some photographs and some.
That P38 is going to be a star, not just here for Hoftac, but also for Independence, because Cody's cutting down a barrel and everything for me.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty custom build.
What's crazy is everybody I can tell that you're an industrious type and you like a challenge, because you looked at it and you weren't like, I'm not doing that. You're like, no, I want to do it. It's just going to take me a lot of time.
Yeah, this is going to be. This is going to be a good testament to the custom work that we can do.
Yeah, there we go.
I am super stoked, because I'll be sending you some stuff for some custom work, guaranteed. Because I got a few guns,
couple
that haven't sunk in the boating accident yet.
But it's now time for on the podcast for Steve to ask his 5 questions. Of you.
So we started this the last guest we have. And I decided we just do it every guest we have. So you didn't get to experience this the last time you were on.
Oh, so this is new?
This is a new segment now.
Mm-hmm. So this is just kind of a get to know you. And
we want to know the person behind Nick Hoffer.
Oh, well, let's see how well you can do with your questions.
Okay. And you might not want to answer, so I don't know. It's up to you.
Fire away.
First one. What experience in your life has been the most influential and why?
The most influential. This is going to be kind of different. I actually was explaining this to you guys while we were over there working. I think the most influential experience in my life was when I cut my finger off.
Okay, yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was telling them, and I explained in depth the story about this a couple years ago. But was it 2 years ago? I quit my job to do this full time. I ended up getting a divorce 2 months later. And then a month and a half after that, I cut my finger off in a holster making accident. So I had no job. I had no place really to live at the time. I mean, I had somewhere to live, but I didn't know what I was going to do.
Sure.
And now I couldn't work because I had a cast on my hand and I was going to be out for 6 months.
Literally blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, all three.
So what I didn't tell you guys over there was I was driving. That was when I was out in Cuna, so I was kind of rural from where we are now. And by the time I drove from the hospital to my house, I pulled up on the front door of my house worrying about this the whole time. And I said, I'm either going to make this happen or I'm going to have to go and get a job because I have no choice because I can't use my hands. So I posted on Facebook that I needed help in the shop, and within an hour I had 10 people willing to come to work basically for free.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. Like, people, the village comes together to help you out. That's pretty awesome.
For sure, man.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you guys have ever met Matt Kovac. He used to own, or he still does own, Trojan Horse Concealment. He made belts. So any of the nylon belts you see on our website are made by him. He moved to Phoenix. That's when he quit working for me, was when his family moved down to Phoenix. And he's actually a part of a company called Tac Hub now. It's a shooting system for steel targets. And he's going to be here in July, I think, and we're going to do some video with those guys. But he came to work for me for basically whatever I could afford to pay him at the time, which wasn't a whole lot. And yeah, he literally helped save my business.
Wow.
Well, and probably a little bit more than that too.
Oh, absolutely. Like it was a bad time and I had no idea what I was going to do, and it shaped my business and who I am right now into what I'm doing.
It's awesome.
So
nice,
I don't know
man.
if that was the right answer, but
that was a great answer.
Kind of what I was thinking.
The right answer is whatever you felt was comfortable to be the right anser.
All right.
That was a great answer. So what's your next one?
All right. You just won the lottery. What would be the first thing you do and why?
Not sleep.
He could afford to sleep at that point.
Yeah, right.
So it would be really hard for me to win the lottery because I don't ever play.
Yeah, that's a hindrance. but just go along with it.
If I did win the lottery, I would probably take that money and invest it into other small business owners. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm extremely grateful for all the help that I've gotten. And I get phone calls all the time with people starting businesses asking for advice. And there's a couple of businesses that I have invested my own time and money into. And if I won the lottery, I would probably take and micro-invest into a bunch of startup companies.
Right on. See? That didn't sound like a wrong answer either.
I bet people expect me to say I'd buy all the guns in the world, but I'm not a gun enthusiast. Yeah. I'm a gun owner. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I conceal carry, but I don't buy a whole lot of guns unless I need them for work.
Yeah. When I came up with that question, do you guys ever watch Three Amigos? Do you ever see Three Amigos?
Yeah.
Do you ever see what are you going to do with your prize money?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to buy a mansion. And then Ned. Or no, it was the other guy. Anyway, I'm going to help orphan kids. Build an orphanage.
What?
Help all these low-income kids. Anyway, what's your biggest fear?
I think my biggest fear is probably, man, that's an intimate question, dude.
Steve's an intimate guy.
I had to almost think about how I wanted to answer that. No, my biggest fear is that I wouldn't be a good dad. And my son's 11 now. He turned 11 on Wednesday.
Yeah, he was hanging out here with us a minute ago, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was a fear that I always had, and I almost didn't want to have kids because of it, because I feared that before, and I think that I've done pretty good so far. He doesn't hate me yet, so but he's only 11, so.
Well, he's super well behaved. He was just sitting there chilling in the back, so.
Yeah. Seems like a cool kid.
But yeah, that's my biggest fear.
There's nothing wrong with that answer either.
Yeah, you're knocking him out of the park.
Let's see. What would you say is your biggest achievement?
Well, that's easy. Raising my son. But
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on.
Nice.
Okay, last one. You ready for this one?
You got him scared now, I think.
Well, this is a good one. This is my
hopefully
favorite.
I can answer this with something to do with guns, because otherwise people are going to be disappointed.
Well, they're going to be disappointed. So, who would you consider your greatest hero?
My greatest hero? I don't even know if I have an answer for that. Like, I don't know what I consider like a hero.
Yeah. And we did, Jessica was the guinea pig on these questions, right? So, and that took that podcast in a completely different direction, right? And that's why I wanted to do these questions, because it throws people off.
I mean, I don't know what I would consider a hero. I know that there's a couple of people that I would say have been extremely influential in my life and sent me in a different direction than I ever expected to go on, but I wouldn't consider them a hero per se. I don't know. Anyone who follows me on social media knows I'm a huge Sean Whalen fan. And back when I was going through that stuff that I was telling you about in the other questions, I reached out to him and got a lot of really good advice from him. I've been to a few of his live events. I mean, I guess if you had to call him a hero, I guess you could call him that, but he definitely is a mentor and somebody who's influential in my life.
Awesome.
There you go.
So you didn't think you could answer those.
Yeah.
And it
Knocked
didn't
out of
have
the park.
And that's why I think it's interesting with these questions is none of them are gun questions.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things, too, that I like about him is that, obviously we talk a lot about guns and self-defense and firearms and whatnot, but, at the end of the day, it's all about the people, too. I mean, there's people make the gun industry happen. People make the shooting sports happen.
And that's what I really want to get down to the dirty is gun people are normal people. Like, we're not these fringe weirdos that drive around with rebel flags tied to the back of the pickup trucks.
Right.
With our MAGA hats, right?
So my girlfriend's son, who's 13, he said, "I'm so glad you don't drive around with a 'Don't Tread on Me' flag on the back of your truck." He's like, "You're not even weird."
There's a few of you out there that aren't weird.
Yeah, we might have lost a few listeners there on that one, but no, we've talked about that before, where it's, you don't, like, just from a practical standpoint, you don't even want to advertise maybe that you have a gun or whatever. Like, and I always pointed out to my fiance, I go, "Hey, if you want to steal a gun, I know where to get one." When you see like a Glock or this car protected by or whatever, you know what I mean? Or like some of them are kind of funny, but still makes yourself kind of a target.
So with your questions, I think you should add a sixth one.
Yeah, what's up?
So something I did some interviews for a while, and I always ask people in the whatever industry they were in, what brought you into that industry. So like with the gun industry, all of us have a different background. None of us started in the firearms industry. Like before I was in the firearms industry, I was in the restaurant industry. I was the manager of a restaurant. Mm-hmm. My family owns multiple restaurants. I was the manager of a restaurant. I left my job and didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just fell into working for a gun manufacturer. I wasn't...
It was more just because the job was there, right?
Yeah, it was because someone told me about the job, and I was like, that sounds like a really cool thing to do. I never even owned a pistol at that point. I was a hunter. I didn't know that shooting sports were a sport. I didn't know that you could conceal carry a gun legally.
Yeah.
And now look where I'm at.
So I think that's what's really interesting, and I've talked to Mark. I have some other ideas for some other shows kind of outside the realm of Range Minded.
Right.
Everybody has a story, and everybody is an individual. And I might look at you or Mark and say, "Man, you guys have totally done the same thing I've done with, right? We've all gone through the exact same pages in the same book of life," but that's not true. Some of us are in different chapters, and some of us have finished the book and are ready to start another book. And, and there's so much to individuals. I really want to get into like knowing people.
Yeah, and like I said, that's more what the gun industry is built on, is on people, you know, and people's different stories, and like you said, how people fall into the gun industry. You know, not a lot of people.
There's some people, like I have a friend, Colby Pavlock. He's been in the gun industry since he was 6. He's a competitive shooter, so he's known it his entire life. For me, I was 21 when I even realized this was an industry. I just thought that guns showed up on the shelf. I didn't think about how they got there.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the 2A community. I knew what the NRA was, but I didn't know what they did.
Right. I don't think anybody knows what they do anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't like I wasn't looking at the NRA as like somebody who was fighting for my rights, because I didn't know that they were under attack.
Yeah.
And then I think that's where people kind of take things to a different level with us who are Second Amendment supporters. Like, I didn't know that the Second Amendment was being like under attack until I was a part of the community.
Yeah. And I think that's important, like, because I really feel like we're going to lose our rights. Like I don't want to get into the weeds, but I feel like it'll get to the point where the Second Amendment, as we understand it, is gone. Completely gone. The industry is going to be dead for a while, and I don't know when that point is or not. But I think what's going to save the industry is knowing the people in the industry, not the guns, not the manufacturers, but the people who make things happen.
I say this to people who are outside of the firearms industry and say to me, well, what about this thing that happened? Or when I go, how about this? Take it to a whole different level, like nothing to do with anyone getting hurt, or what happens when you get rid of gun rights and every person who works in that manufacturing facility, in that marketing department, who does anything to do with firearms, they're all out of jobs.
They're done.
It's millions of jobs gone. And they're like, well, those millions of jobs are worth that person's life. And I'm like, I don't think anyone should lose their life for no reason.
Right.
But also we should all have the ability to protect ourselves and do something we're passionate about. And I'll tell you what, people in the firearms community are passionate about their jobs.
Yeah. And I would say 99% of them are amazing, incredible, positive thinkers. They're not the weirdos, like we're just talking about, the weirdos with the "Don't Tread on Me" sticker. And
you're not all weirdos with the "Don't Tread on Me" flags, okay? That was
stereotyping.
Yeah, it's a stereotype.
Yeah.
But
you're right. But you know what I'm saying?
It's like a left-handed 1911 shooter. You're not all weirdos.
As long as it's not a Taurus.
I don't own a 1911, so I'm golden.
We need to fix that.
Yeah, I know. I need that and a revolver, and now that I've got my weird stuff out of the way, I can go back to normal.
There's some great used 1911s right now at the store. I'm not joking around. There's some great
really
used guns.
That's dangerous,
right,
man.
I just bought another Glock today. Don't tell my wife. Oh shit. She doesn't listen to the podcast, so it's all good.
Nick, you bring up a good point. That's something that a lot of people that aren't in the firearms industry, or even maybe not into the shooting sports, don't realize, is that the firearms industry employs a lot of different people. You think about not just the major manufacturers like Smith & Wesson or anything like that, but also like small businesses like what you've got here.
Well, you can take what I do right here, and I know I'm in the holster making community. I know a lot of people, and a lot of those guys are starting in their garage like I did, and creating a successful business for either a side business to make money to support their shooting hobbies, or like I did, leaving their jobs and creating their own career. And it was a low barrier to entry. It was something that you're passionate about and you can create a business in.
Yeah.
And there's millions of people working in the firearms industry right now, and they're no different than anyone else, other than they have a passion for guns.
Right. Just like somebody would have a passion for cars or business or whatever. So it's a good point. I think we'll end on that point too, unless there's anything we didn't reach that you wanted to cover maybe, or
do you have any questions for us?
When I come back next time, I'll have my 5 questions for you too.
Oh man.
Because you were ready to interview us, and then
we got sidetracked with going to the shop and this. I don't even know, what was this gun that
Walther P38.
Walther P38. It is the scariest holster gun I've ever came across.
And I don't know what he has. Like, he's got some passion over Walthers. Like, it's unbelievable.
I don't know. I just like them. I think they're.
He pulled that out
fun.
of the case, and I just like sat back and went, "Yeah, we don't have time for that. We'd have to make a feature film."
Well, and I could have busted out the Jericho 941 too. That would have been interesting. I'm into weird stuff right now, man. I don't know. It's just
Good
a weird
thing I don't
phase.
have my Nagan revolver. I could have brought that. Be like, hey, let's make one of these.
You guys are like the dude that shows up with an AR pistol and was like, "Yeah, I want to inside the waistband conceal carry appendix."
I got my
holster."
pistol.
That was my backup
Yeah,
choice.
that was your backup holster gun.
After you make me a P38 holster, then we can.
I don't want one on. Like, I don't want an inside the waistband. I want a like over the back.
dual over the back.
I could do that.
Or maybe we can shoulder carry, like a shoulder style holster with an AR pistol.
As long as it fits under my suit coat, that would work too.
Perfect.
All right, yeah. Next time I'll have questions for you guys.
Nice.
Be ready.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely have you on again. Thank you for letting us come.
Yeah, I think you're
business.
gonna see or hear Nick a lot more often, as long as he's got time for us.
Yeah, well, he doesn't sleep, so
I'll make time for you guys. This is fun. I enjoy doing this.
Well, yeah, thank you again for coming on, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Oh, wait.
Uh-oh.
If you like this episode, make sure that you take a picture of the episode, share it on the Facebook page, share it with some friends. Make sure you spread it around, man. Spread some love.
Yeah. Spread the love for Range Minded.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Thanks for listening to Range Minded. Find us online at Range Minded Podcast on Facebook, or send us an email at podcast@iishooting.com. We're always happy to get feedback, episode suggestions, whatever you want to send us, really. And be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.